Greetings. Welcome to the Money Script Podcast. I'm your host, Yohance Harrison, financial advisor and financial literacy educator. In each episode, you'll hear incredible interviews and get tips and strategies that you can implement into your daily life to help you improve your money script and grow your wealth. Thank you for taking some time with me today. Let's get into this episode of the Money Script. Let's get it. So welcome to the Money Script Podcast. Now, this has been long awaited. I want everyone to know that this is the first gentleman that I asked to come join on the show. But he wanted to make sure we were established, and he said, "Let me know when you get over 1,000 downloads." So now that we're over 1,000 downloads, we are honored to be graced by his presence. Now, all jokes aside, I want to just take a moment to say thank you to Marc Ranger. I met Marc when I moved to Los Angeles. Did not know a soul when I moved to Los Angeles, and my first day on the job, I had to walk into a group meeting, and this young man was the first individual I locked eyes with, and I said, another brother's here. Everything's gonna be okay. And since then we made a lot of good moves together. It was a fun ride. It still is a fun ride. We're still running. Right. So with no further ado, I'd like to just give you a moment, take the floor, introduce yourself, because I don't know how to do the whole internationally known, locally accepted, but you do it so well. I didn't mean to steal any thunder, but I'll let you get to it.
No, I'm gonna spare everybody that hyperbole, but no, you're right. This is long overdue. I'm so excited, for everything that you're doing, from your family to the business, that you're just killing it, and now this podcast, which I think is needed and very valuable, with all the information you're pumping out for free, by the way, y'all. I mean, get this information. This thought leadership is incredible. So I'm happy to be on the show. I think the timing is great to be on it. Again, I'm Marc Ranger. And I currently, I'm a financial executive with a Fortune 200 firm, and I run a business unit in Southern California where I specifically work with financial advisors who are entrepreneurs, and I help them build businesses. That's what I do. I work with entrepreneurs every single day. So that is one component. And then the second component is I own the Money Motivation brand, which is a success and lifestyle brand. And I started it in 2017, saw a gap in the demand when I looked at modern entrepreneurs and business leaders and high achievers. There was a gap in a streetwear brand, a premium streetwear brand that could embody their journey. So I started on this journey to build this brand, and it's really about purpose. It's about finding your purpose, because purpose never dies, and it has a clear mission of helping to inspire a life of excellence and freedom. And we promote independent thinking, taking risks, relentless commitment, and all the things there. So we have the clothing, premium streetwear side, and we also have a media aspect with content designed to help promote that way of life. I live in Los Angeles, originally from Dallas, Texas, and I love what I do, and I'm excited about this episode.
Man, so am I. I forgot I'm participating. I'm in this too. Okay.
Yeah. We in this. Right, we in this together.
We in this. Let's get it. So I have to start. Let's just go ahead and clear the air now. We are recording on, today is June the 3rd of 2020. A year that I think is will go down as managing from crisis to crisis. We early in the year, we had, of course, the tragedy with Kobe Bryant, and then that spun into, and that took the entire world, had the entire world's attention, and then that spun into the COVID-19, which again had the entire world's attention, which then led us to the events of a week ago, where something that actually happens often but is being broadcast more. The death of a young man at the hands of a police officer, and it has sparked outrage not only here in the United States but around the world. We've been dealing with protesting for over a week. There are also, of course, folks that are taking advantage of the situation because we're human and we do human things. So we have humans being humans, and we've had looting, we've had rioting. There's been more death, and it's an interesting time, to say the least. And of course, this is in the midst of, we're still in COVID-19. We're still in some states staying at home, except when we're out protesting or in the streets. So it's an exciting time to be alive. I know that. These are the things that story time for grandkids are made from. And I'm excited for us to play our role in it. But I did not feel that we could get all the way through the show this evening with at least having some words about it, having a discussion about it, and also sharing where we think that our brands and our companies can continue to make an impact.
That's right.
So with that, I'd like to, let's hear from you.
No, it's important, and particularly because we're right with all of the things that have happened. I agree 2020 will be a year that is historied in a way that recent memory has not been communicated. It will go down as one of those historied years. And currently, in dealing with the murder of George Floyd, because it was a murder, I mean, the truth is important, is what I'll say. The truth about things that have occurred is very important. And social unrest that's currently going on right now, I mean, there's not a barometer, at least for the Black community, there's no better barometer of social unrest than the increasingly strained relationship between the police and the Black community. I mean, that, and if today, what is currently going on, it has not occurred spontaneously. It's spontaneous in the way that it's manifested. Yes. Currently, but it didn't occur spontaneously. We have been dealing with this for decades, and the truth is important. And the bitterness that we have around this, that's being displayed currently with the protests and the things that are going on, it's been incubating for years and years and years in the face of police behavior by certain police officers that historically and today has inflicted a disproportionate physical, mental, psychological death and injury to Black citizens. And it was most horribly displayed with the murder of George Floyd. So everything that the Black community is expressing, and now around the world, people of all colors are expressing, I mean, outrage does not, I think, fully capture it, but that's probably the best sentiment that can be described in the Black community about everything that is going on. So it's important and it's real. And the boiling point that did occur needed to occur because obviously other things that have been done year after year after year after year are still not being heard. And now I just think we're at a boiling point that can't be denied based upon witnessing the murder of George Floyd and everything that's come out in the aftermath. So that's where we are. And I think it's important, to your point about brands, us as brands and the things that we're doing, to not be silent about it. You can't be silent. We got to promote the truth. We got to stand up. And in each respective area of the things that you do in your own way, be able to stand up and promote the things that are right and promote the things that do tell the truth to expose it, but then be able to take action in your own way to make some change, which everybody can do in different ways. But that's where we are today, yo.
Now, but it's a deeply rooted systemic problem that has been around as long as I've been on the earth. I grew up probably as similar to a lot of Black kids where we learn to respect, of course, everyone, adults especially, but we're taught the difference in when we see a Black police officer and when we have to deal with a white police officer. And I think almost every young Black, now I won't say every is a stretch, but there are a lot of us that have experienced the bigotry, the racism, the over policing, the unnecessary roughness, what all the bad things that come with encounters with the police. And I mean, I'm sure you have situations. I'm sure you've dealt with it. I'm not sure. I don't think we've talked about it. Have you had any run-ins with the police that maybe would have been a little bit different had your skin color been different?
The direct answer is yes, multiple times. And I believe that any young black man who grew up on the spectrum of anywhere from lower class to working class to middle class, anywhere in that spectrum, in some form or fashion, if you grew up in an urban neighborhood, a black community, to make it very specific, a black neighborhood, you've experienced it in some form or fashion. So yes, multiple times I've experienced it with individually, with friends, and I think that it is. You use the term systemic, and I look at it as something that is a trauma, like just an ingrained trauma that in some way in the black community has continued over years and years and years. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a part of what I know and understand.
So with the boiling point that we have reached at this point, and I feel that since Rodney King is the earliest memory I have. It's the first time I saw it with my own eyes. Before then, I just heard stories because I was young. Rodney King, I think early teens, I guess, not even. But then experiencing it myself as a teenager and into young adulthood. Now, nothing as bad as what happened to Rodney King, but the things we mentioned earlier. But we've had protests and riots, and we've had protests and riots all through the 60s and through as we came from through out of segregation. And we even had a few uprisings in Ferguson, of course. In Ferguson, we had one in North Carolina. I can't recall the gentleman's name right now. And so we've had little patches of it, but this is the first time that I can remember. I think that the world remembers that there was a world uprising about it. And like you said, it's happening in all races and creeds in different countries and different languages, showing support for what this transition, hopefully, that the United States is going through. I'm curious for our listeners that are getting lots of messages right now. I'm curious, what do you think are the 2 or 3 things that we can do to help make a difference and continue to help move this message forward and actually invoke some change? I'm talking, civil rights era, 1960s integration era type change, broad sweeping change, so that we can turn the corner on this.
So I'll say I think it's two sides to this. There's the side of I'll call it solutions, because I think that's really what you're asking, like what solutions or what things can be done. And then I think specifically with the black community, I think because that is the target of this entire movement and abuse, what would need to change, or I believe can be done there in terms of effect some change. So here's my thought process on it. I mean, there are a number of different things that can be done, and we can lay out, I'm sure, a laundry list of things that could be done. But from my perspective, it's this. One is, and this is in no particular order, one is, you talked about protests, and protests can be end in violence. It can be suppressed by force. There's a lot of different things that can be done. But because there has always been, as you mentioned, protests and various things there needs to be an effective control or an effective method for the interaction of protests with the police and bodies that may govern certain cities to ensure that those protests can be productive versus them becoming violent. Because that violence begets more issues. That has to be a part of this scenario, is so that voices can be heard in the right way, and there's an effective interaction when it comes to those things. The second thing is, there's got to be in some way some type of independent review board related to disciplinary actions of police officers who take these type of actions. Right now, it's all still internal. And as long as it's still internal with the police, I think it's going to be tough. But if you have some type of independent review board, that's going to help. Now, I know the arguments on both sides of that people will say, but that's my offering. Third would be some type of official, I'll call public protector, meaning a person who would be responsible in communities to not only receive complaints, but also have the power to take action on unfair actions and investigate as what I'm calling a public protector, like an ombudsman type person, but some type of individual who is empowered to do that. And then finally, there needs to be some really clear role definitions that clearly spells out the role determinants, meaning defining behavior and establishing more effective police guidelines. Because the real issue is this: there will be no change with this unless there's a harsh indictment on police behavior and productive conversations about what can be done. But it starts with a harsh indictment on the behavior and the policies that created it. That's where it starts. And from there, creating a clear role definition about the things that can be done to change that, because we know, and that's why it's occurring right now, neither police nor the general white community has been willing to acknowledge the legitimate grievances of Black citizens. So, and police officers are constrained many times to embrace the negative views of their peers as their own. And if they don't subscribe to it, they're going to be resented by their peers. And that's why you see this group think, and that's why you had these other 3 officers sitting there watching them die. So there has to be some type of change from that effect in terms of the role definition and determinants and defining of that behavior culturally that changes with the police department and establishing more effective police guidelines. And that's going to start with leadership. So that's what I think on that side. Then the last thing on the Black community side, because that's who it impacts, and then I'll shut up about it. But since you asked me, I'm talking about it.
No. This is something. We need to have this conversation. Yeah. This is part. I think this is also part of the solution, is keeping the conversation going, because we tend to talk about it, it fades, and unless there's another, public lynching, for lack of a better term, that is broadcast on a Facebook or Instagram or any of those social media type sites, then we're quiet in between, because we're human. We have short attention spans.
Agreed.
So if we really want there to be change, we have to and we especially have to keep the conversation going as we get into elections, because if we've said this before, if there was ever a time to vote, now is going to be a great time. And not just in the presidential election. This is also about local elections, because this is about the district attorneys, and this is about the judges, and it's about the prosecuting attorney, all of those in any position that's, I may have named some that are unelectable, but even in some towns and cities, the sheriff is an electable position. And it's putting those people that are willing to fight for, or basically fight against their own unions, because that's what it comes down to. They're going to have to. They're going to have to stand up to the union and say, and put the people first, collectively, the entire society first. But I'm gonna stop on that and let you give your point about the people.
I agree with you. I think that's important. I mean, because the voting, which actually coincides with the last point in the community. I mean, I do think that empowering ourselves is important. So the power to vote, that needs to be done. If you're not acting on your right to vote, I mean, I just think it's silly. And our positioning and right, and the people who died to allow us to do it. Your responsibility is to do your best. I don't want to hear this argument about, well, I don't agree or not good with the candidates that are in there. That doesn't matter. Your job is to do your best with what you have and choose your best preference. That doesn't mean it's your ideal preference. You choose your best preference. So you got to do that. But the other thing is, it's promoting the truth and standing up, for sure, but it's also promoting economic freedom. I thoroughly believe that. I mean, starting your own businesses, expanding businesses, investing in businesses in the community, helping to build wealth in there and create change. But if we don't have, or there is not an economic platform in Black communities to influence and control what goes on in that community, nothing will change, which coincides with voting, which coincides with elections, which coincides with ownership and control. But I truly believe that the economic component Without that, it would be very difficult internally to influence change from Black citizens to be able to do it. Politics and education alone will not change it. The economic piece is the key. So that is my other piece on what I believe will be part of it, is being able to have that level of influence and control to help actually make some meaningful change around what goes on in the community, and control and who's in office and the things that occur.
Got it. How do we continue to push this forward? What are our big ideas? What can we do? The money script. What can money motivation? How do we keep this going so we can have other businesses like ours also emulate what we're doing?
So, I mean, it's a number of different things. And by the way, people, I don't think it needs to be complicated, because a lot of times we can make it complicated. Like you said, if you're not out protesting, you're not on the front lines, you're not doing these things, all those things you should do. But it's a number of things. Definitely, we already talked about it. You should vote. You need to make your voice heard at the ballot. You need to donate. I mean, support causes and support. There are already a lot. Leveraging systems that already exist are important. There are already a number of organizations that in some way may have an infrastructure, because a lot of the issue is organization. If it's not organized, it's tough to move. But there are some organizations that are very legitimate and have an infrastructure that can create and move change in certain areas. And they have a clear focus that, if you understand, you donating and supporting those causes does matter, because that is economic money that they do not have otherwise. So doing that is extremely important, and finding those causes and being willing to donate one time or ongoing is important. Making your voice heard and using whatever platform you do have to then in turn support those causes and get other people to support those causes and talk about what's going on. Invest in the businesses locally. I mean, not only spending your dollars there, but finding ways to potentially invest in those businesses. Businesses are always looking for capital. They're always looking for ways to continue to expand. So not only spending dollars in the local community versus taking them out, but it's also finding ways to invest in those communities so that they can grow. Because without that growth, it's hard to expand in terms of the ownership and the things that occur. And then the last thing is actually starting businesses. It could be on your own, or it could be helping others to start businesses. But it's finding ways to start and develop businesses that will operate on some scale, and then being able to bring those dollars into the community so it can be spent, so that workers can be hired, so that people can have some level of ownership or participation. I mean, those things off the top of my head, I think, are all important, but the practice of that starts with you. It starts with you, and then it expands to your family, and then it expands to the community, and then it expands to the nation, but it just starts with the individual.
Man, wise words. I love it. All right, let's transition, and I do want to give a quick shout out on that. I was listening to another podcast the other day. I can't even remember which one it was, but what was memorable was someone was speaking from Campaign Zero. Campaign Zero is a campaign to end police violence in America. They have 10 major objectives: end broken window policing, community oversight, limit use of force, independently investigate and prosecute, as you mentioned earlier, community representation, body cams, training, end for-profit policing, demilitarization, and fair police union contracts. So it's a great organization. I say check it out. Check it out. It's a place that I'm donating money to, and they are.
Tell me again, what's the name of it again?
It's called joincampaignzero.org.
Got it.
Yeah, and so they've got a lot of really good data there as well, just sharing with what states have taken on things. So there is good news, folks. There's good news. There are states and counties and municipalities and jurisdictions around the United States that have been tackling this and working on it. And as a matter of fact, Join Campaign Zero have tracked 107 laws that have been enacted from 2014 to 2019 to address police violence. Now, there's still a lot of work to do, and you can learn about what work is being done in your state and progress of legislation. Because what I've done is now I want to pay attention to what's happening in my state and who's running for local election. And these are the questions that I have for them. How are they enacting this? Because, Mark, and being a father and raising black children, we all have to have the talk with our children at some point about how to act accordingly anytime they find themselves in a police situation. So because we just want them to come home alive, and we want to get home alive, and we see what can happen in extreme situations, and we just want to put a stop to that. So I want to end with this on that piece. By the way, I forgot to mention this earlier, which is probably, I haven't read through this whole website yet, but I think they allude to it here and limit the use of force. Could it not just be a constitutional right that we have the right to not die in the hands of peace officers? Like, is that too far-fetched to just say that police officers are not allowed to kill unarmed civilians? Can we start there? Now, I know that wouldn't stop bigotry, it wouldn't stop racism, wouldn't stop someone from getting beaten or tased, but at least if we said you can't die in the hands of them, especially if you're unarmed, I think it would at least put an end to the public lynchings, which is, unfortunately, that's what I like to refer to them as. So let's get off that. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think one quick comment on that.
Yeah.
I hear you on that, and obviously stated in that way in the Constitution would be a very clear guideline and expectation. But before that could even be enforced, the original contract of humans being created equal would have to be held up to.
Yes.
For that one to even matter.
That's true.
And that one we still ain't got it held up to. So that's the only point I'd make on that. Let's start with the original contract that we still ain't on.
Come back. I got the receipt right here. It says here.
Yeah.
That's what it said. I mean, I didn't write it. It said it here.
That's right.
So tell me, what is your first memory of money, or when did you become conscious that money was a thing to be earned, spent, saved, or what have you?
This is an easy one for me. So my first memory of money is I was born in Dallas. I grew up in Decatur, Georgia, and I wanted a bike. We lived in Decatur. I wanted a bike, and Mom's told me I had to earn it. She wasn't gonna buy it for me. It's one of those BMX bikes, you should ride or whatever. And she said I had to earn it. She used to go to Sam's Club. That was her thing. She'd go to Sam's Club and get stuff. So the agreement was she'd go there, she'd give me some candy, and then if I could sell it, or if I did sell it, I could earn some money to buy this bike. So she went and got, she funded it. She went and got my initial candy.
You had an investor? You had an angel investor?
Right. Angel investor, you know what I mean? Or other people's money type scenario. And she bought me the candy, and I started selling it. And what was interesting is, I couldn't articulate it this way then, but I understand it now. I mean, she taught me sourcing. She sourced it and how to source, because I went with her. Inventory, because I had to hold the inventory at the house and figure that out and what I was going to do. Pricing, how I was going to price it. And then margins, like I was learning all those things. I didn't realize it at the time. So I went and sold the candy. I paid Mom's back. She was my connect. So I paid her back to go give me some more. But now I had enough money so I could give her money back. But it was the margins, Yohance, that got me. That's when I really started to understand money, meaning I could mark that candy up 3 to 5 times what I got it for easily. And that's when I said, wait a minute, it seems so easy to me. It seems so easy. It's like, wait, I had, she gave me the money. I paid her back. I still had money left over, some margin, some profit. I can mark this candy up 3 to 5 times and just keep turning it over, and she go get me some more, and I pay her. And then I realized it, and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that that's how it worked. And then I was able to buy my bike. And so that was my first introduction to how money works. And I was amazed and excited that this could even be done this way, and I could earn money and just keep doubling up on it.
Indeed. So you were the connect. You were the guy with the candy in your backpack. Had to sell all the chocolate before noon because it's going to melt.
There you go.
Yep. You had to come get the chocolate early. I remember. I knew people like you. And charging $1 for a pack of gum.
Oh yeah.
That convenience fee. I was like, man, this gum.
Hey,
they paid it. Did it fly here?
They paid it.
Got a plane ticket on this gum. So.
Hey, they paid it though. They paid it.
Indeed, they did. So, what kind of lessons would you like to tell your, I guess you were 10, 12-year-old self about inventory and margins from what you've learned now as an adult?
Well, I think it's just understanding that there is a system and supply chain and process to any business that exists. And if you can understand how to set up systems to run a business or to have a business, and then have people who can help you run those systems, you can be successful at any business. That's, I mean, again, I'm articulating it this way now, but that's what it was starting to help me understand in order to earn money that you can then use to do various different things. But that supply chain or those systems or those resources, I mean, in any business, there's some sort of sourcing or inventory or manufacturing and distribution, which was the other piece, you know, how you distribute it. All of those pieces you'll find in any business. And if you can understand those pieces and you can set up systems for those pieces to run behind your business, you can run any business and then hire people to be able to run those things and make money.
Indeed. Now, let's say for our business owners out there that let's say they're essential and they're able to continue to do well, or at least maintain during the pandemic. If they were to get an investment, say of whatever the number is, $5,000, $10,000, what do you think is the most important thing to invest in that business? Is it marketing? Do we put the money in marketing? Do you put it in people? Do you put it in technology? Where do you think businesses should be focusing, or if the money that they have right now, if they have excess, how should they be investing in a time like now?
See, at a time like now is a tricky question, obviously, because, and let me clarify what you're asking me. Are you talking about somebody already in business, Yohance?
Already, yeah, somebody already in business,
Got you. And that's a tricky piece. I mean, and let me answer it this way, because I always think about concepts. Any successful organizations, any of them, they always have three things. They have the right people, meaning when you have the right people on your team, they are your biggest asset. When you got the wrong people, they're your biggest liability. So having the right people, keeping the right people is important to growth. The second thing is they got a very clear focus about what levers to pull to drive growth or drive revenue or whatever it is. And they invest money in being able to do that. And then the third thing they're able to do is execute. They have a very clear and disciplined way to execute, because there are a lot of businesses that have good people. There are a lot of businesses that have a clear focus, but they suck at executing. And if you can't execute, you can't win. So when I think about it from that standpoint, it would be those first two things that I would think about in terms of where that money would be invested today. So first would be, how do I retain my most important and highest priority people that are needed to be able to continue to run and grow that business? I would invest in those people. And the second thing would be, whatever my primary levers that I know today are going to drive growth, I would put money behind those levers in order to drive growth. Now, for different businesses, that could be different things. But at any given time, a business knows, all right, this is the lever I need to pull and focus on if I'm going to drive the most revenue and growth. Whatever that is for you, then that's where you need to put the money behind. But I know that can be different for most people. So that's how I would answer that, because I always try to start with, all right, what are the things that are consistent in businesses that I see? Well, if you're asking me the question of where to put the money behind, I would say those.
Indeed. So speaking of putting money behind things, it's probably about time for me to make an order on that for the summer. It's the summer. I haven't been on the website lately. I'm trying to pull it up right now.
No. The new drops are going to be out in a couple of weeks. So just wait a couple of weeks. I got new drops, new shirts, got some slides coming out for you for the summer. I'm going to send you those. I got, a bunch of stuff coming out. So yeah, we got a couple of weeks for the new drops here.
So he let me help him. I like to assist his marketing team sometime, along with his wife too. We're the marketing department. You don't have to wait until the new stuff comes out. Go ahead and go get something now, and new stuff's coming out in a few weeks. So I'm on the site right now. There's stuff on here that's new to me. What you see, look at that. There's some dope stuff on here. Y'all better hurry up and go get it before it's gone. Oh, when did you, is this a swimsuit?
Oh yeah. Swimsuit, bodysuit is going down.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, boy. Yeah, that's up. That's ready.
Oh. Oh man. Okay. I see you got a new image here too. Or a new design. Straight shooter, nothing to lose.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
like
yeah,
that. I like that.
yeah,
Life of a Hustler. That's a new one. See, yeah, there's new stuff on here.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I
yeah.
see. I see. No, I definitely love the wear. It is premium, you guys. It is. I've got hoodies. I've got tees. It's all premium. It's fresh. I get compliments on it everywhere I go, and everyone asks where I got it, and I tell them. So yeah, do check out the website. That's moneymotivation.com. And also join the mailing list. It's got some great content as well.
No
And
doubt.
be careful if you're a client of mine and you get my content too. You might see some similarities in there. I'll just leave it at that. But you borrow from great people. That's what you do. You borrow from great people. So, well, listen, my brother, I appreciate you taking some time, and thank you for dropping those nuggets with us. I really appreciate it. That last question was, it was personal. It was, I'm in that situation. I'm like, okay, I'm making some investments, and I've already made the decisions. I was actually looking for some, I guess it might have been a little confirmation bias because you said exactly what I hoped you would. And that's exactly how I'm investing. I've hired 2 new people or we've hired 2 new people. Alicia told me I have to practice saying we. I'm no longer just a lonely CEO. We are a team of multiple people. So yeah, we've hired, so we're growing. So that's exciting. Out of curiosity, what book is on your nightstand or is in your Audible? What book you working on right now?
Well, actually, I got a couple of them that I'm going through right now because I'm the type of person who, some people feel like, all right, I got to read one book before I get to the next book before I get to the next book. Yeah, I'm not really on that. So anyway, so a couple of them I got right now. I'm reading one that is called Profit First. And
Ooh, you in
yeah,
for a treat.
yeah. That's
Oh boy.
you read that one? Yeah, I'm enjoying that
Oh
one. That
boy.
was good.
Not only
It's
did
good.
not only did I read it, I did it. I'm
You
doing
did
it.
it.
I did.
Oh,
Oh, it's, hey, I'm gonna tell you right now, changed my life.
is it money? There you go. I like
Changed
it.
my life. Changed my business. However, I changed it.
It
Completely
changed
changed it.
it.
Completely changed it. Now,
Flip.
I won't spoil it for you, but just know that. Well, you know this already. You don't have to do everything, but if you can take 2 or 3 major things and implement those, it will completely change how you run your profit for your business. It will.
Well, there you go. Well, there you go. So then you got me excited about being able to continue to do that because I know you're an avid reader and I know you continue to get stuff in. So I'm reading that, and then I'm also reading one called Billion Dollar Whale, which it's actually a true story, but it's about this guy who basically fooled Wall Street and Hollywood and the world with the way he went about. Um, Raising money and attaining all of these high level influences and political and business people and making these high level deals. And he was really ended up being a fraud. But it's an interesting study on the psychology of human behavior and also business models, because what he was a master at was developing relationships, duplicating business models, and understanding how to influence people to get them to do certain things. And he was able to make some major deals, without actually having a true substantive thing behind him. So it's a pretty interesting book. It's a lot of lessons to be learned in it. But those are 2 right now that I'm going through.
I'm intrigued. I'm really intrigued about that $1 billion whale because
Yeah.
at first I thought you were saying, oh, the Bernie Madoff story, but it's not that.
No.
It seems a lot more dynamic than that.
Yeah. No, it's a different deal. Yeah, it's a different deal. Yeah, but it's pretty good. So those are a couple that I'm going through, and then I got a couple of others that I've been going back and forth to. But those are the 2 right now that I'm hitting.
All right, we will add those to the list. Well, one is already on the list, but we will add $1 billion whale. That seems like also one of the, reading a lot of self-help type of books. That seems like one there's some things that you can learn from it, of course, because it's nonfiction, but it's also a bit of a story. So it gives you something. It sounds like it gives you something different.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
I have to pick that one up. I have to look into it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, my man. Well, again, I appreciate you. Where can people find you on Instagram? Because I did not tell anyone that yet.
Yeah, so Instagram is Marc_Ranger, MARC_Ranger, RANGER. Money Motivation brand is moneymotivation.co, moneymotivation.co on Instagram. And again, the website is moneymotivation.com. Again, it's the hottest premium streetwear out there right now. It's the preeminent streetwear brand. If you're an entrepreneur, business leader, high achiever, this is it. And we got some money content for you as well to help you develop in business as an entrepreneur, as a business leader tied to it. So go get your gear for the summer, no doubt about it. And those are the main places to contact.
Indeed, brother. All right, man. Hey, I appreciate you again, and we'll talk real soon. Hopefully,
no doubt,
one of us can get on a plane soon.
Yeah, Yohance is my friend. I love you, brother. I appreciate you all the time. So keep doing what you're doing, man, because you're killing it in the game, and you're changing some lives with this content. So I appreciate you having me on.
Indeed, my man. Indeed. Love you too.
Okay, take care.
Thanks for joining us on the Money Script podcast. Be sure to check out our other episodes, subscribe, follow, and give us 5 stars. Continue to send your financial questions on Twitter or Instagram at the Money Script. Go to moneyscriptwealth.com and schedule your complimentary consultation to discuss your specific goals and concerns. Financial advisory and investment management services are offered by Money Script Wealth Management PLLC, a registered investment advisory firm registered in the state of Texas and California and other states where exempt. The Money Script LLC and the Money Script Wealth Management PLLC and guests of the episode may have interest in the investments mentioned today. The opinions and views are expressed here are for informational purposes only. This material is educational in nature and should not be deemed as a solicitation for any specific product or service. All investments involve risk and a significant loss of principal. The Money Script nor Money Script Wealth Management offer tax or legal advice. Please consult your tax advisor or attorney for specific advice about your situation. Until next time.